Hello, I'm Julia from Ipse Wilderness, and I'm doing this video to talk about well-being, mental and physical. I am so used to running trips, leading walks, being out and about and being really busy, and I know that I'm finding it quite hard to be self-isolating and to be stuck at home. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some tips and some ways you can support your own well-being, both mentally and physically, during this period. So physical well-being, most of us know about already. We need to eat healthily. It's really important to stay hydrated and to get as much sleep as you need. And some of you might find that you need more than 8 hours sleep, and that's absolutely fine. But you may also be struggling a little bit with your mental well-being, with your moods, with your feelings, with your emotions. You may be feeling bored, frustrated, lonely. You may be really worried or anxious about money or about work or about people around you, your family, about your health and about the health of other people close to you. So the most important thing to remember is that it's okay to feel this way. In fact, it's completely normal. Everyone reacts differently, and these feelings will pass because this situation will pass. The situation is temporary, and although staying at home at this time is difficult, it is really important to remember that you're protecting others and yourself by doing so. So it's a really great thing to be doing, and everyone's very grateful that we're all following these rules. So the tips and advice I'm going to give you today are just simple things that you can do now to just keep on top of your mental well-being during this period and cope with how you're feeling. But do make sure to seek out extra support if you feel you need it, and there are services available for those who feel this way. So I'm taking as my framework for this the 5 ways to well-being, which have been widely published. And these 5 tips to well-being count all of the time, and this current period is no different really. And the 5 essential tips to well-being for all of us are to connect, to be active, to keep learning, to take notice and to give. And I just wanted to talk through each of those 5 ways and think about particularly how we can attend to those during this time period. So let's start with connecting. I'm sure you're aware that it's really important to stay in touch with people during this time, and that might be harder than it is normally. So you'll be sending messages, you'll probably lots of you doing phone calls, video calls, Skype calls, Zoom, conferencing, all this sort of thing, and that's great. You can also do other important things, like really share your feelings with people who you trust. Try to make time to have proper conversations and to really speak in depth about exactly what it's like to be you, and to make sure that other people are hearing you and that they understand how you are. Sometimes when we feel lonely, it's not because there's no one there, it's just that we're not letting them in. So make sure you make time to talk to people, and meal times is a really great time for that, or perhaps during a walk. Another way of connecting with people is to do things together, to collaborate. So that might be a small project, it might be a big project, it might just be helping somebody in the garden, helping plant a few vegetables, it may be reading a book with a younger sibling, it may be doing a jigsaw together, or sorting out a cupboard in the kitchen, or fixing something around the house that needs fixing, painting a wall, these sorts of things. And it can be really connecting to plan and then carry out a project together with somebody you love. The next tip is to be active. I'm sure you've heard about this. The government are making sure that all of us are taking the opportunity to have exercise every day, and that's so important. I can't stress that enough. If you're not already, please do take advantage of this opportunity to exercise. You should be walking or cycling or jogging every day, and if you can't do that, get out of the house. Try to make time to do stretches inside the house, to do some dancing. It could be following a video, following a workout online on YouTube, or just freestyling it around your living room. Whatever works for you. There are some great exercise classes out there. Another way of keeping active is to make plans. I know that we can't be very active physically at the moment, but we can plan for the future, but we can also plan for our days and plan for our weeks. It's helped me hugely to do a weekly timetable. so that my days feel different. And when I wake up in the morning, I know what day it is and I know what I want to achieve that day. You can also just do a schedule that you're going to have your meals at the same time. You're going to go for your walks either in the morning or in the afternoon, so that you kind of feel like you're making progress in the day and keeping on top of things. Some people just like to do a to-do list, and at the end of the day it can be quite satisfying to tick off the things that you said you would do that you have in fact done. Another way of keeping active is to kind of engage the brain by varying between big and small tasks. So if you're taking on a big task like cleaning the house or hoovering, something that involves moving around lots of space, looking up, being active and kind of taking up room, a kind of big scale task, it's really good for the brain to switch that up by the next task being something small and focused. So it could be reading, it could be doing a puzzle, it could be doing a piece of art, it could be fixing something very small and precise. So try to vary your activities in terms of big and small during the day. The third tip for well-being is to keep learning. Now, for some of you, I know that school will have become a little bit more challenging than it has been previously. Maybe you're not attending school, maybe you still are, maybe your classes are different, maybe you're doing online learning. But even if school feels like a distant memory, it's still really important to learn something new during this time, to try to learn something new every day. You might be reading a book, you might be listening to podcasts you never normally have the time to do, you might choose to research a new topic or learn a new skill. There are some fantastic documentaries on Netflix, there's all sorts of YouTube videos to conquer new skills like, juggling or crochet or that sort of thing. My brother and his friends have started a documentary club where every Thursday evening they all sit down to watch the same documentary on Netflix at the same time, and then they have a Zoom call about what they learned afterwards. Another way of learning is, of course, to consume media, social media and mainstream media and news outlets, and I'm sure you're all doing this quite a lot, and just be wise about it. Take breaks from it and choose wisely what you watch, what you listen to, what you expose yourself to, and take a break from the news as well. Vary it by also watching films, TV programmes, listening to music. Another way of keeping learning, and for your future learning, would be to keep a record of what's happening right now. The incredible thing is that we are living through one of the most fascinating and extraordinary periods of modern history. Nothing like this has ever happened globally before, and you're one of the few people experiencing it, and people in the future will be fascinated to hear about it. So you could keep a record. That could be a personal journal, a diary, it could be a photograph record, it could be a daily video, it could be a newscast, whatever you like. It's just an interesting way of recording what's happening to your family, to your friends, to the world, as broad as you like. The next tip is to take notice, and I love this one. And one of the phrases that I like to use for this is to change the wallpaper. Now, I don't mean that literally. You may want to change the wallpaper in your house, but changing the wallpaper in this context means doing things differently, going to sit in an unusual place, exploring a new idea, phoning somebody who you wouldn't normally speak to, just mixing it up, keeping your brain active, which makes you just pay attention more. It's also important to notice your feelings and to tackle them, to face them and not bury your head in the sand and pretend you're not feeling that way. And that's especially important when it comes to anxiety. If you find that you're experiencing anxiety, do tackle it. Take steps to address it. It's really useful to write a journal, to acknowledge your feelings, maybe to practice mindfulness or meditation, and even to be more proactive and practice some problem-solving techniques. Sometimes when we feel anxious about things, it's important to differentiate whether we can solve that problem or whether it's beyond our control. And simply trying to work that out can be quite soothing mentally. You can also set yourself smart targets. If there is a problem that you decide that you can actually solve, then you can break it down into manageable chunks. So that's a way of taking notice of your feelings and tackling them. Another way of taking notice is to celebrate what's good. Celebrate your successes. Give yourself credit for things that you've done well, for managing, for coping, for building, for creating, for being nice, for making good things happen. And also give yourself permission for not achieving those things, for being a bit rubbish and for not having a great day. That's okay too. Finally, the last tip is to give. And this is a wonderful thing that I've been doing recently, to practice gratitude. Find something every day to be grateful for. Also, you can give your help. You can volunteer in the community. You can help your family out with chores, or you can do random kind things that make other people's lives better. We've stuck some teddy bears along our hedge in the garden so that people walking past have got something to look at and giggle at, and children can notice them. It's also good to give time to yourself by practicing relaxation techniques. Really simple things. Take time to stroke the cat, to play with the dog, to have a bath, to listen to some nice audiobooks or some soothing music, and just give yourself time as well. I just wanted to end with a few really personal tips that I've been trying out this week and that I've noticed have really helped me. And one of them is that I make sure not to take my worries to bed with me, that I have it so that my bedroom is the place where only nice things happen, relaxation and sleep, and I try not to get wound up before bed. Also, a really nice tip that I like to use a lot is to choose a letter of the day, and it really can be any letter. And at the end of the day, you try to reflect and summarise the day with 3 different words, all which start with that letter. So, for example, if the letter was for today B, at the end of the day I might set myself the challenge of thinking of something brilliant, something that could be better, and something that I began today. And I try to make sure that one of those things has sort of got a positive feeling, one of those is a sort of more of a challenge, and then one in the middle is kind of neutral. If the letter for tomorrow was C, at the end of the day I'd think about something I created, something I'm going to continue, and something I'm curious about. And it's just a way of reflecting on the day. Finally, it's really important to let go of your expectations of how life should be and what would be normal and what would be right to be happening right now. There's just what is happening, and we are all living through these extraordinary circumstances and trying to make the best of them. So there is no right or wrong way to be. There's simply how you are, and how you are is exactly perfect as it is. And I really hope that's helped you, and I'd really love to hear about how you're getting on and some of the ways in which you're feeling. So I'm sending you lots of love and good wishes for your continued well-being during this time. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye-bye.